Hare Rameti Krishneti Nama Sankirtanam Sada Lokakshemaya Kurvantam Premikam Sadgurum Bhaje Rajate Vedavigyana Sadgrantah Premikoditaha Devata Tattva Jigyasa Yena Me Vardhita Hridi. Every year, Brahmasabha is celebrating Premika Jayanthi Mahotsavam, and it is featured with the discourses of various Premika Granthas and Grantha Parayana, starting from the children up to the elderly people. All are getting involved in this wonderful satsanga. This time, our Sri Ramasubramaniam requested me to deliver a discourse on English too, for those who don't generally understand Tamil, among the devotees of srisrianna. So I was thinking, what can be the topic given for this? While I was contemplating, a thought came to me: why can't we give a parichaya, give an introduction to srisrianna's magnum opus, Vedavigyanam. Even to give introduction to this text, it may take several hours. I am not rushing. In a relaxed way, I can go through the text, but not in an exhaustive way. Yet, we can have a bird's eye view of the whole of this literature, perhaps in several years. Today can be the good start. This Vedavigyanam was already translated by, as we all know, Sri Raju, Brahmasabha, Chicago. A translation is also, he has done with a very great effort. It's praiseworthy. And now let us have a glimpse of this wonderful text. So the text starts with the preface by the author. The very starting itself is great. Veda can be introduced in many ways. There are so many ways in which Vedas can be introduced. Veda is the first, earliest available literature of the world. This can be an introduction. Veda is the earliest reflection of Indian culture. Can be another introduction. Veda is the foundation and the fountainhead of Hindu religion. This also can be an introduction. But srisrianna starts with the statement, Vedame Bhagavanahiya Narayananin Hridayamahum. The Veda is the heart of Bhagavan Narayana. வேதத்தை புரிந்து கொண்டால் பகவானின் சங்கல்பத்தை புரிந்து கொண்டவனாக ஆவான். By understanding the Veda, one understands the will of the divine. We are true devotees, or we wish to be the true devotees of Bhagavan. But to be true devotees of Bhagavan, what are we supposed to do? If I love somebody, if I revere somebody, if I honor somebody, if I love somebody truly, what am I supposed to do? I should understand his will. I should understand his wish. And I have to follow that. Without this, love or honor cannot get fulfilled. Duryodhana planned for a very great puja for Bhagavan Krishna, and a very great arrangement in Hastinapura was made to invite Sri Krishna to the city. Yet Krishna did not like all those things. Krishna was simple. He did not like the paraphernalia offered by Duryodhana. It's just because Duryodhana did not follow the will of Krishna. Duryodhana did not fulfill the wish of Krishna. Getting dissatisfied, Krishna returned after conversing with Duryodhana. It does clearly indicate that devotion's main feature is to follow the will of divine. So if we are devotees of God, we should understand what is in the heart of Bhagavan. For that, the Veda will be extremely helpful. Vedas can show you a lot about the creator of the world, and Vedas can explain you what is what regarding life, how to get liberated from the miseries and troubles that we are facing in this world. What's the purpose of life? The Veda can give all these things to us. Only based on the Vedas, all other scriptures emerged. வேதத்தை கொண்டே மற்ற தர்மசாஸ்திரங்களும் இதிகாச புராணங்களும் ஏற்பட்டன. ஸ்ரீ ராமாயணம், ஸ்ரீ மகாபாரதம், ஸ்ரீ பாகவதம் என்னும் யாவும் வேதத்தை தழுவிய இயற்றப்பட்டது. It is told in Ramayana that Ramayana came only to interpret the Veda. Vedasya upabrahmanarthaya. Mahabharata considers itself to be the fifth Veda. Bharata Panchamo Vedaha. Bhagavatam says that it's a fruit that comes from the tree called the Veda. Nikama kalpa taror galitam phalam. So all the scriptures are based on the Veda. Veda is Swayam Pramana. Other scriptures become Pramanas by connecting themselves to the Vedas. So the first two paragraphs are talking about the greatness of the Veda. Then the third paragraph is about the lineage of the author. A noble lineage, Madanvaye, Matpitrabhir Mayache, Maharshi Tulyaihi, Mahito Mahatma, Madbhagadeyaha, Maninupuradhyaha, Kodandaramaha, Kuladaivatam me. This is from Kodandarama Dashakam. This shloka was written by Srisrianna while he was a small boy. Here he talks about his lineage. He says his ancestors are like great rishis, great tapasvis, and the worshippers of Sri Ramachandra, the Kodandapani, a Sharanagata Samrakshaka. I adore that Kodandapani who was adored by rishi-like ancestors of me. This is what he says in the shloka. Here Sri Anna says, Brahmashri Ramasesha Shastrigal, Sri Anna's grandfather, he made a copy of the whole of Yajurveda with Sayana's commentary in palm leaf. And he was a very great Vedic scholar too. When Mahaparival came to Shenganur, our village, he went through all those palm leaves and he took those palm leaves for the library in Kanchipuram. Library for Kamakoti Koshasthana. Sri Ramasesha Shastrigal's son, Brahmashri Venkatarama Shastrigal. He is also a Vedic scholar and he knows to administer the rituals based on Yajurveda and Rigveda also. He knows 3 sutras, Ashwalayana Sutra, Apastamba Sutra and Bodhayana Sutra. He is a very great Upadhyaya and he delivered discourses on Sri Ramayana. Generally, he used to give Pratishloka Artha of Ramayana. He knew nothing other than Rama and he is an Ananya Bhakta of Ramachandra. And such a great lineage the author of Vedavigyanam has. He says, I am writing here 100 essays on the Veda. He also says, only the scholars who read this book can judge whether I am qualified to write these essays or not. They are the witness for this. He also says, if they find some merit in this book, then I feel that my research is fruitful. If they see some flaw in this book, I request them to suggest so that in the next publication those things can be corrected. And another very important thing, we all know Sri Anna to be a very great person of action. He is always engaged and he has renovated various temples, especially the Vedeshas. He contributed in many fields. He delivered various discourses on Itihasas and Puranas, hundreds of talks, hundreds of Saptahas and hundreds of Navahas regarding Bhagavatam and Ramayanam he performed. We all are seeing that he is a very, very busy person. In that sense, he is a very great karma yogin, always working for society. Evam pravrittasya sada lokanam shreyasi dvijaha. For lokakshema, he always engages himself, and also in devotional services. Starting from morning Suprabhatam up to evening Dolotsavam, he performs everything with a very great sincerity, without failure. With all these things, when he becomes hectic, his contributions to the writing also become vital. Even though he is hectic in this way, amidst all these things, he finds time to write so many things. And here is an important expression in Vedavigyanam. இந்த கட்டுரைகள் யாவும் எனது சொந்த முயற்சியால் சேகரிக்கப்பட்ட விஷயங்களை கொண்டு நானே எழுதிய எனது சொந்த கட்டுரைகளே ஆகும். All these essays are written by my own self, and the contents here found are gathered or collected by my own self. This is what he says. Why this has to be told at all? I thought it's because people may wonder, the readers may wonder, how such a busy man can write such a huge book. How it's possible at all? We all know how some celebrities, busy men, they may not write books. Some other persons write in their names. This happens. Okay. Some other persons, they write several books in their names, in these celebrities' names. People should not mistake Vedavigyanam to be like that. People should not mistake Vaishnava Samhita or Vrindavana Mahatmyam or Lagustotramala, these literary works, including his research works like Vedavigyanam, various articles, various essays like Valmiki Virundu or Bhagavata Rasam. Such great research articles should not be mistaken to be some others' writings in the name of srisrianna. Some other Vedic scholar must have written in the name of srisrianna, it got published. It's not like that. Even in spite of his hectic schedule, okay, because his primary things are actions. Okay, he is in Bhagavad Kaikaryam. On one hand, is Bhagavad Upasam like meditation, Japam, or Puja, or Suprabhatam, and Mahotsavam, Pakshotsava, Brahmotsavas. On the other hand, his external activities like conducting several saptahas, navahas, and serving in the Kumbhabhishekams of various temples, and taking care whether the pujas are conducted in several divideshams, and starting the great sadhu sangams and guiding the people, Kaikarya Paras in sadhu sangam. Such a man of action he is. These are the primary activities of srisrianna. Okay. In spite of this busy schedule of srisrianna, he finds time to write a lot. Okay. Writing is an introvert's action. Okay. Speech or moving with the people, HR, human relations, human resources, this is an extrovert's action. Extrovert may not act as an introvert, introvert cannot act as an extrovert, but there are rare souls in the world who behave both as introvert and extrovert, like Lord Krishna. In psychology, they are called as ambivert. Srisrianna is an ambivert. In this sense, he is holistic. Okay. He is a great orator. Those who are orators may not be good writers. Those who are writers may not be good orators. He is a great orator as well as a writer. He proves himself to be an ambivert. So people may doubt how it's possible for Srisrianna to write such a great magnum opus. They may start to doubt, is this the writing of Anna at all? Because they see around the great leaders, the great activists, the great men of action, they don't write by themselves. They adopt some other person, they pay for some other persons and they make them to write. This book is not like that. Instead of his hectic schedule, he sat and wrote. He researched, he sat and wrote. Therefore, this beautiful proclamation comes in the கட்டுரைகள் யாவும் எனது சொந்த முயற்சியால் சேகரிக்கப்பட்ட விஷயங்களை கொண்டு நானே எழுதிய எனது சொந்த கட்டுரைகளேயாகும். So there were great souls like the traditional scholars like Sayanacharya, Bhattabhaskaracharya, Mahidhara and so on. And also some modern researchers, some Westerners like Wilson or Max Planck. Here he says that after analyzing all those writers and after going through the primary source, that is the Vedic literature, whatever came to my mind, I am deliberating it here. And next he says, Veda is great and glorious, and it gives message, it gives its insights to the whole world. உலகுக்கே புத்தி சொல்லக்கூடியது. But unfortunately, many Hindus and many Brahmanas whose duty is to guard the Veda themselves don't know what is there in the Veda. Therefore, to explain the dharma, human values, the fundamental principles, the concepts of devatas, yoga, bhakti and jnanam found in the Veda, I bring this book as if plunging into the deep ocean and collecting the pearls, gems out of the ocean. This book is written and submitted to our Hindu brethren, உலக மக்கள், முக்கியமாக உலக மக்கள், to the people of the world, that too to the Hindu brethren. உலக மக்கள், முக்கியமாக நமது ஹிந்து சகோதரர்கள் யாவரும் இந்த புத்தகத்தை வாங்கி படித்து பயன் பெறுவாராகில். If our Hindu brethren and the whole world, if they go through this book, if they can read this book, and get fruitful, then I feel that my effort also becomes fruitful. Vaidika Paripalana Trust has published this book. Srirangam Shri Press has published this book. And when this Vedavigyanam is published, whatever income it generates will go to serve the poor Vedic Brahmanas, poor Vaidikas, and Veda Purushanagiya Bhagavan Sriman Narayanan Yavarkum Sarvamangalatayum Tarattam. Veda is after all the heart of Narayana. Therefore, Narayana is called as Veda Purusha. Narayana is not different from Veda. Veda is not different from Narayana. May that Bhagavan Narayana bestow welfare to all beings. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. This is the preface of this book, Vedavigyanam. Then, Shrimukam from three great souls are coming in this book. We all know our Hindu tradition has three great Vedanta streams. Chronologically, Shankara, Ramanuja, Madhva streams. So, from all these three sampradayas, Shrimukams have come for this, blessing words have come for this book. Let us see that. Let us have a glimpse. In the context of Sri Ramanujacharya's Sampradaya, Sri Ranganarayana Jiyar Swami had given the blessing words. There he specifically mentions that Srisrianna belongs to the glorious lineage of Perivacham Pillai Swami, Sri Krishna Suri. And this Perivacham Pillai, he wrote commentary for the whole of Nalayara Divya Prabandham. Dravida Veda Bhashyakararana Sri Perivacham Pillayin Vazhitthondralana Sri Mahatma Ramakrishna Shastrigal Sri Krishna Suriyayum Polave Ariya Vendiya Arthangalaiyellam Eliya Tamilil Yathullargal. Sri Krishna Suri, Sri Perivacham Pillai, his contribution is matchless. He brought the very great commentary for Nalayara Divya Prabandham. The commentary is decked with the very great gems of the insights from the Veda, Vedanta, Itihasas and Puranas. We all know. In the same way, Sri Anna too, belonging to the same lineage, offers the great concepts of Veda, Vedanta, Itihasas and Puranas in this book. After telling this, the Jiyar Swami is explaining here what are all the concepts that are dealt here in this book. He explains all those things in a nutshell. Of course, we are going to see all those in detail. Therefore, here, let me withdraw from this. Then Sri Shankaracharya Swamigal, his Shrimukam we have for this book. Mainly, he says that this book can remove the misconceptions that got mushroomed in due course of time regarding the Vedas. Also, this book can contribute for the universal welfare because the Vedic knowledge bestows universal welfare. In this way, this book can be highly productive and contributive in the field of philosophy. Then we have Vyasaraja Matha Swamigal, Sri Vidyavachaspati Tirtha, his Anugraha Bhashanam or his Sri Mukham, Mahadidam Pramodasthanam Yadidanim Vaidika Vangmaye Pravurtanam Ativa Shraddhalunam Sri Krishna Kathamrita Truttanam Tatra Bhavatam Sugrihita Namadheyanam Vedavigyanamiti Grantha Prakatanam Mumukshunam Ativa Upakarakam. That is the Shaili style of Madhvas. Sri Madhvacharya revealed the Vedic literature as the literature of liberation, literature of Adhyatmika Chintanam. He reveals this literature as a spiritual text. Most of the people in general believe in this way. He proves it. Therefore, the great soul belonging to that Matha here marks, following his Acharya, Madhvacharya, Mumukshunam Ativa Upakarakam. Okay, Mumukshu, aspirant of liberation, true spiritual aspirant. This Vedavigyanam can be helpful for true spiritual aspirants. Those who have spiritual quest can go through this text. Swamiji says, in this way, these three great souls have given their Sri Mukham blessing words for this magnum opus, Vedavigyanam. Vedavigyanam magnum opus is divided into 10 bhagas, 10 portions or 10 books. Now let us start with the first book. The first book in the beginning starts with the meaning of Pranava, meaning of Omkara. It's because all the Vedas find their origin in Omkara. Mummaisal ulagukkellam Moola Mandirattai. Moola mantra is Omkara. Only from the Omkara all other Vedas have come. Only from Omkara the whole universe has come. We can say in this way that the universe is made of Omkara. Substance of this universe is Omkara. No vibration is without sound. And the vibration found in the fundamental energy has a sound that is Om. This Om makes us to transcend. It makes us to transcend from all our thoughts and instincts and imprints. Nangu Vedangalum Vedadil Adangum. Vedas merge in the first mantras of Vedas. These first mantras of Vedas merge in Gayatri, Vedadigal Gayatri Ladangam. Gayatri merges in Vyahruti, Gayatri Vyahruti Ladangam. Vyahruti merges in Omkara, Vyahruti Pranavati Ladangam. And Omkara merges in its meaning, that is Brahman. Tasya Vachaka of Pranavaha. Pranavam Brahma Sarupathil Adangi, Brahmamahave Irukum. Omkara is not different from this Brahman. Pranava, Omkara is Brahman's epithet, Brahman's symbol. Omkara has three syllables: Akara, Ukara and Makara. Akara is Virat Purusha, that is Vishnu. Ukara is Hiranyagarbha, that is Brahma. Makara is Ishvara or Shiva. When this Akara, Ukara, Makara are recited together, then it is the Holy Trinity of Shiva, Brahma and Vishnu. Vishnu represents the sustenance of universe, while Shiva represents the merge. Brahma represents the creation, Srishti, Sthiti and Samhara. Akara represents waking state. Akara represents the witness of waking state, which in the Vedanta is named as Vishwa, Vaishwanara. Ukara represents the witness of dreaming state, which in Vedanta is called as Taijasa. Makara represents the witness of the deep sleep, which in Vedanta is called as Prajna. Akara, Ukara, Makara put together is Omkara, which represents the witness in the fourth state, which is reality, Turiya, Samadhi, Nantaf Pragyam, na Bahish Pragyam, no Bhagataf Pragyam, na Pragyam, na Apragyam, na Pragyanaganam, Adrishtam, Avyavaharyam, Achintyam, Ekatma Pratyasaram, Shantam, Shivam, Advaitam, Chaturuttam, Manyante, Sa Atma, Savigneyaha. This is the true meaning of Omkara. Vedavigyanam starts with Mandukya Upanishad. This is the essence of Mandukya Upanishad. Akara represents Paramatman, Ukara represents Jivatman, Makara represents Sharanagati, surrender, submission to the divine. This is another way of seeing Omkara. This is a Sri Vaishnavite way of seeing Omkara. This Omkara is there. With this only we start Vedic chanting. With this only we conclude Vedic chanting. Yo Vedadau Swaraf Proktaha Vedante cha Pratishtitaha Tasya Prakriti Linasya Yav Parasya Maheshwaraha. When this Omkara merges in that core silence, that which remains can be called as Maheshwara. This is what the Upanishad says. These are all about Omkara. Next, Vedavigyanam talks about Vyakriti. From Omkara, from Parabrahman, Omkara manifests. From Omkara, Vyakriti manifests. Vyakriti is Bhur Bhuva Swaha or Bhur Bhuva Suvaha. Here, Bhuhu is earth, Bhuvaha is atmosphere. Suvaha is the great sky. All put together is the all-pervasive divine, that is Vishnu. Bhuhu means its presiding deity Agni. Bhuvaha, its presiding deity is Vayu. Presiding deity of Suvaha is Surya. Bhur Bhuva Suvaha, its presiding deity together is Prajapati. Bhuhu represents Rigveda. Bhuvaha represents Yajurveda. Suvaha represents Samaveda. Rigbhihi etam yajurbihi antariksham samabihi etat kavayo vadanti, says Upanishad. This Vyahriti is recited as atonement in homas, in the Vedic rituals. This Vyahriti mantra is chanted while to purify by sprinkling the water and while doing Naivedya. This Vyahriti is recited in Puja Vidhana. Not only this, while the great yogins are practicing pranayama, there they have an internal chanting of Vyahriti. This Vyahriti is recited with Gayatri mantra, also without Gayatri mantra. Then next comes about the greatness of Gayatri and the meaning of Gayatri. The greatness of Gayatri cannot be written in few words, says srisrianna. Gayatri mahimai solliyum ezhudiyum vaazhadu. Indra became godhead due to Gayatri mantra. And Indra destroyed the evil forces. And the divinities, Varuna, Vayu, wherever you see their power, that is due to the Gayatri mantra. Power of rishis, powers of rishis are also due to Gayatri mantra. We hear that Vishwamitra created another world with his own stars, and he made Trishanku to stand in that. Anyam Indram Karishyami. Such a power Vishwamitra had due to his Gayatri mantra. Gayatri Japa of Agastya made him Agastya, and Kashyapa as Kashyapa. They were all held. They manifested their siddhis due to the japam of Gayatri mantra. Not only rishis but also rajarshis are powerful due to Gayatri mantra. We all worship Rama and Krishna. We all chant the names of Rama and Krishna. But these great souls, these avatars, Rama and Krishna, are the great reciters of Gayatri mantra. Krishna never failed to perform Sandhyopasana at any cost. If I say Rama never failed, it's not a wonder, because Rama never showed himself to be Bhagavan in his incarnation. He came to this world only to set the role model to the whole of humanity. Therefore, he will perform. What's the need for Krishna to perform Sandhya Vandana? But we see in his life, even in his very long travel from Gujarat to Uttar Pradesh, even there, he never fails. Somewhere nearby Vrikasthala, he stops his car to perform Sandhyopasana at evening. It clearly shows these great souls, they were chanting Gayatri Mantra without failure. Arjuna won Kalakai and Nipata Kavachas. He went to Swarga and he was with Indra, he dwelt with Indra. All these things happened only due to the power of Gayatri Mantra. The power of Parashurama is through Gayatri Mantra. Why? The great Asuras like Hiranyakashipu and Rakshasa, like Ravana, they could rule the whole world due to the power of their Gayatri Japa. This initiation to Gayatri Mantra is called as Brahmopadesha. One becomes qualified to learn the Veda only after getting this Gayatri Mantra. One who doesn't recite Gayatri Mantra every day is not qualified to learn the Veda. This is how the Shastric injunction is. Every ritual gets fruitful, every Vedic ritual gets fruitful only with Gayatri Mantra. Every Vedic mantra chanting gets fruitful only with Gayatri Mantra. That's the greatness of this Gayatri Mantra. Let us see the meaning of this Gayatri Mantra. அந்த சவிதா என்ற சூரிய நாராயணனாகிய பரமாத்மாவின் பரஞ்சோதியை தியானம் செய்வோம். அவரே நமது இதயத்தில் இருந்து அறிவை தூண்டுகிறார். Meaning is universal. It's not sectarian, not even religious. It's purely talking about the impulsion of intelligence, the fundamental core divine impels our intelligence. May we meditate on the splendor of that excellent divine who impels our intelligence. This is the meaning of this mantra. Gayatri can be recited either with Vyahriti or without Vyahriti. And it has three padas, three portions. And these three padas can be seen as three worlds and three strides of Lord Vishnu. By meditating on Gayatri Mantra only, our lineages, our paramparas, our traditions became powerful. They have developed their cognitive power. They have developed their Shraddha, Medha and Pragya, and they are still celebrated by the whole world. Our lineages are well known for their responsibility, duty consciousness, sincerity and dedication and whatnot, intelligence. These are all only due to their chanting of Gayatri Mantra. Therefore, this mantra bestows welfare in this world and in the next world too. These are all the greatness of Gayatri Mantra. Next comes Vedadigal. The beginning of every Veda is contemplated here, presented here. Rigveda's beginning, as we all know, Agnimile Purohitam Yajnasya Deva Mrutvijam Hotaram Ratnadhatamam. I praise Agni, who is in front of me, the Lord of this yajna and the administrator of this yajna, who invokes other gods too to this yajna and also showers the felicities. This is the meaning of this mantra. Next, Yajurveda's beginning. Ishetva Urjetva. This mantra is very important. This mantra is for nourishing the food which we wish and also to get a good impulsion. It also is applied for getting the good milk of the Deshi cow. All these things are required for Sreshtatamaya Karmane, for our excellent Vedic rituals, for our excellent yajna. And this is how Yajurveda starts. And then Samaveda starting. Agna ayahi vitaye Granano Havyadataye Nihota Satsi Barhishi. O Agni, you please come here to get our oblation and please have your seat of darba grass in this yajna. Then the starting mantra of Atharva Veda or Atharvana Veda. Shanno Devi Rabishtaye Apo Bhavantu Pitaye Shanyor Abhisravantu Naha. It's a prayer for getting the pure water. May there be water and a good raining for our nourishment. These waters, these floods are called as goddesses. Devyaha, Shanno Devi Rabishtaye. For our fulfillment, we are inviting these waters here. This is how it goes. Veda Kalam, timing the timeless. It is not so easy to find out the beginning date of the Veda, we all know. No common conclusion is drawn. That is the conclusion of this essay. Many scholars imagine in many ways, research in many ways. What can be the beginning of the Veda? What can be the date of the Veda? No common conclusion is drawn regarding this, cannot be drawn. And definitely the conclusion cannot be narrowed to the 1000 BCE, which mistake some Western scholars have committed based on Usher's chronology. Their own theology has a chronology which says that the whole universe is only around 6,000 years old. The whole human civilization should be brought under these thousands of years, based on the superstition, some concluded that Veda is only 3000 years old. This is not a good thing, but no common conclusion can come. Balagangadhara Tilak has researched, Chandradas, Avinash Chandradas had researched. So many research articles are discussed here in this Veda column, the first essay. Next, the author is giving Veda Parichayam. Srisrianna is giving Veda Parichayam. He is introducing Vedas to us. The Veda has several meanings. The Veda has several names. Veda is called as Veda, it's because Veda is knowledge. Vedavigyanam. As we have already seen that the Veda is the heart of God, it means Veda is the knowledge that is hidden in God. Then it is also called as Shruti for two reasons. One, these Vedas were not written, they were just memorized. They are still just memorized by listening to our own gurus, our own elders. This is how Vedas were. It came only through audition. Deliberately they were not written and their writing was discouraged. Likhita patakaha, Shiksha Shastra is discouraging the Likhita pataka. It's just because while it comes to writing, there is a high possibility of the emergence of various differences in recensions. Pata Vedas. All other scriptures, all other texts of the world have interpolations and later editions. Also with various Pata Vedas, differences in recensions. Vedas don't have that much. Vedas are preserved. They are preserved only because they were memorized by listening. That's why they are preserved. And for this reason, the Veda is called as Shruti. For another reason also, the Veda is called as Shruti. The Vedic seers had Atindriya Sravana, extra sensory. They transcend the thought forces, dwelling deeper into the soul, finding there these mantras. Therefore also it is called as Shruti. Shruti means spiritual audition. Next name for the Veda is Amnaya. Amnaya means that which is told. Again, it's not written. In Sangat Tamil, we have various names for the Vedas. Kelvi, Shruti. Next name, Eluda Kiravi. Eluda Karpu. Okay. Next one, it's also called as Nigama. Why Nigama? Because it gives injunctions and prohibitions regarding dharma. Therefore, it's Nigama. Another name for the Veda is Trayi. It's called as Trayi because of its three branches, Rigveda, Yajurveda and Samaveda. It's also called as Trayi because it has poetry, prose and song. Samaveda is a song, Yajurveda is predominantly prose, prosaic, and Rigveda is poetry as whole. So, the Veda has this epithet also, Trayi. The traditions of Sanatana Dharma strongly believe that the Veda is free of human authorship. Vedam Apaurusheyam is the third article. The sound syllables of the Veda are the sources of the whole world in one sense. It's because, as I said already, fundamental energy has a vibration. That vibration also is featured with sound. And the swaras, the Vedic sounds, are that. So, Vedas become Apaurushaya in that sense. Everything here, another important dimension is brought. Veda is the fountainhead of this Sanatana Dharma. We have various scriptures in Sanatana Dharma, starting from Ramayana, Mahabharata, Puranas, Vedangas and Upavedas and Smritis. All these things, for all these things, the base is the Veda. Vedo kilo dharma moolam. This is irrefutable because those scriptures themselves acknowledge the Vedas to be their source. The Veda is the common element in various streams of Sanatana Dharma. You may be a Vaishnavite, or you may be a Shaivite, you may be an Advaitin or a Visishtadvaitin. You may belong to any stream of Sanatana Dharma, any tradition of Sanatana Dharma. Even among Vaishnavites, you may be a Sri Vaishnavite or you may be a Gujarati Vaishnavite of Vallabhacharya. You may be a Gaudiya Bengali Vaishnavite, Udiya Vaishnavite. For all of them, the common scripture is the Veda. It's not only for Vaishnavites. For Shaivites, you may be a Kashmiri Shaivite, you may be a Tamilian Shaivite. For all these Shaivites, for the Shaivism as a whole, if at all there is a scripture which is common, and that is the Veda. In this way, the Veda becomes a link for the whole of Hindu religion. The Veda is one of the links for this nation, India. India is linked, interlinked. Indians are interlinked through various linking forces. Among them, one of the important linking forces is the Vedic literature. If at all there is a definition for Sanatana Dharma, you can clearly say that any Veda-based faith is Sanatana Dharma. Vedas are four in number: Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda and Atharvana Veda or Atharva Veda. Every Veda has Samhita and Shakha. Samhita is the collection of various mantras which deal with various concepts, principles, devatas. Brahmana is the interpretation of Samhita having mainly the ritualistic meaning and also the stories related to those meanings and also several rituals. This is how Brahmana runs. Upanishad deals with self-knowledge mainly, Atmajnanam. Upanishad is well known throughout the world. Upanishad can occur both in Samhita and Brahmana. For example, Ishavasya Upanishad is from Shukla Yajurveda Samhita, and the same way Kathopanishad is from Brahmana. Now let us see the glimpse of Rigvedic Samhita. This Rigveda has 10 mandalas, and there is another division, 8 ashtakas it has, 1017 suktas with Valakilya suktas which are 11 in number. This becomes 1028 suktas. 1552 with Valakilya suktas it becomes 1000. The Rig, the mantras of Rigveda, 10,552 mantras the Rigveda has. Rigveda's Brahmana is well known as Aitareya Brahmana, which is a very big interpretation of Rigvedic Samhita, which has various ritualistic injunctions and Arthavadas. These Arthavadas become the seed of later Puranas. Rigveda Samhita, there are 3 Samhitas for Rigveda. Shakala Samhita, which in general the Vedic pupils learn. Then Bashkala Samhita, and third one Kaushitaki Samhita. These are the 3 Rigvedic Samhitas. This is about Rigveda. Then coming to Yajurveda, there are 2 kinds of Yajurvedas. One is Shukla Yajurveda, another one is Krishna Yajurveda. These are the 2 Yajurvedas. Let us now have a glimpse of Krishna Yajurveda. Here in Samhita, which is called as Taittiriya Samhita, it has 7 kandas, 44 prashnas, 651 anuvakas, and it has its own Brahmana, which is Taittiriya Brahmana, its Upanishads, Taittiriya Upanishads, Kathopanishads, or the Upanishads of this Taittiriya Yajus. There was a rishi called Tittiri, and this Veda is named after him. This is what Charanavyuha Paribhasha says. Vaishampayano Yaskayaitam Shakam praha paingaye yaskaha paingi titiraye ukaya praha titirihi. There is another interesting story regarding this. Rishis in the form of titiri birds grasped this Taittiriya Yajus from Yagyavalkya, therefore it is called as Taittiriya Yajus. The story is also there. Regarding Shukla Yajurveda, it has around 40 chapters. It has two shakas, two way of reciting, two recensions, we can call them. Kanva Shaka and Madhyandina Shaka. And it has 40 chapters, ending with this very well-known chapter, Ishavasya. Shukla Yajurveda, Shukla means white. It is called as Shukla Yajurveda because its Rishi, Chandas and Devata are well determined, as we find in Rigveda Samhita. Regarding Krishna Yajurveda, Rishi, Chandas and Devata are not clearly determined up to our time. It might have been determined in earlier days, but gradually it has got lost. Rishi, Chandas and Devata, they are found in Samaveda Samhita too, Rigveda Samhita and Shukla Yajus. Here in Krishna Yajurveda, we don't see Rishi, Chandas, Devata for every sukta. And one more special aspect of Krishna Yajurveda is both Samhita and Shaka have Shaka and Samhita. It means in Samhita also Shaka will come, Brahmana comes. In Brahmana also mantras come. And that is how Krishna Yajurveda is. Now, if you go to Samaveda, Samaveda has two branches, Jaiminiya Samhita, Jaiminiya Shaka, Kauthuma Shaka. Samaveda Samhita has mainly two divisions, Purvarchika and Uttararchika. Purvarchika has several divisions. These divisions are named after Devatas, Agneyam, Aindram, Pavamanam, and so on. These are mainly three kandas of Purvarchika of Samaveda. And then it has its own Aranyaka. Purvarchika has 650 mantras and Uttararchika has 1875 mantras. Most of these mantras are riks found in Rigveda itself. Few of them are not found in Rigveda. Many think that these riks are taken from Rigveda to Samaveda. It's not like that, because nobody can determine which is older among these two texts. Okay. Rigveda also talks about Samaveda in several contexts. Samaveda also talks in some places about riks. Therefore, we can't say that Samaveda took all its mantra from Rigveda. We can't easily tell like that. Mantras are common in Rigveda and Samaveda, that's it. We have to perceive in that way. And here Samaveda's Brahmana, mainly 8 Brahmanas are now there prevalent. That's why Ashta Brahmana it is called. Chandoga Brahmana is a very famous Brahmana for Samaveda. Mantras are sung, and there are various methods to sing one mantra. Taking a rig, singing in various methods is very important here. Therefore, through its music, Samaveda becomes a magnum opus. Samaveda grows. Next, if you have to see Atharva Veda. Atharva Veda Samhita, it has 5,977 mantras and 20 khandas. The difference between Rigveda and Atharva Veda, Rigveda extols devatas to deliberate the features of devatas, the concepts of devatas. This is a very important subject matter of Rigveda. Regarding Atharva Veda, its subject matter is different. Even though it extols the devatas, Atharva Veda is mainly for pariharas, atonements, and there are mantras for removal of various diseases like the heart disease, Vata, Pitta, Kapha diseases. It also reflects the society a lot. It talks about the royal sabhas and samitis. It talks about agriculture. It talks about the family values. It also talks about the various grihya rituals, starting from Garbhadana, Pumsavana, so on and so forth. All these are found in Atharva Veda. Definitely, Vedantic knowledge also is found in Atharva Veda. Mainly 4 Upanishads belong to Atharva Veda. Prashna Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, and Shvetashvatara Upanishad. These are the 4 Upanishads belonging to Atharva Veda. By the way, Kaushitaka Upanishad and Aitareya Upanishad, they belong to Rigveda. Taittiriya Upanishad, Katha Upanishad, these two are of Krishna Yajurveda. Shukla Yajurveda's Upanishad, Ishopanishad or Ishavasya Upanishad, and then Brihadaranyaka Upanishads. These are of Shukla Yajurveda. Samaveda's Upanishads, the most glorious Upanishad, quite often quoted, referred, and analyzed in Brahma Sutra, that is Chandogya Upanishad, and Talavakara Upanishad, that is Kenopanishad. These are the Upanishads of Samaveda. This is the arrangement of all 4 Vedas. As we saw, Rigveda has 10 mandalas. The first mandala is a very big one. Starting from second mandala, a very important thing. Second mandala is of the Rishi Gritsamada. It has 43 suktas. And then the third mandala is of our Vishwamitra. Vishwamitrasya Rakshati Brahmedam Brahmanam Janam. Brahmedam Bharatam Janam. Sorry. This third mandala has 62 suktas, and Those who belong to the lineage of Maharshi Vishwamitra, they contributed here in the third mandala. Every mandala starts with the hymn regarding Agni, then it goes to Vayu, then it goes to Indra, then further Devatas. Am I right? Okay. Fourth mandala. Fourth mandala is a contribution of Maharshi Vamadeva and his lineage. And it has 58 suktas. Very famous Upanishadic mantra is from this sukta, this mandala only. Garbhenu sananvesham vedam aham devanam janimani vishwa shatam mapura ayasi rarakshanna adashyena javasa niradiyam. This is a mantra. Garbhayevaitat shayanaha vamadeva evam uvacha. Vamadeva, to come out of the bondage made by the ego, made by the psychological adjuncts, he brings out this mantra, and this has its own Vedantic purport. Of course, another mantra from Vamadeva we all know, Aham Manurabhavam. Okay. So, such kind of mantras are there in this mandala. Of course, there is a very beautiful sukta of agriculture, presiding deity of agriculture and furrow is Sita Devi, and sukta is about Sita Devi, Vamadeva's sukta of Sitamma is there in this mandala. And previously, for your information, Vishwamitra's mandala, while I am talking about the special features of Vamadeva's mandala, I am remembered again of Vishwamitra's mandala, which has the well-known Gayatri mantra. Okay. Then comes a very great and glorious mandala from house of Atri Maharshi. This is a fifth mandala. There very great souls are contributing. Those who belong to the Gotra of those who belong to Atraya Gotra. Who are they? Anybody is there here? Okay, nice. Atraya Gotra. Atri Maharshi's family is a very nice family. They all contribute in this mandala. 87 suktas are there. Very beautiful suktas of Agni Bhagavan. Okay, in this mandala. Of course, it has, as all other mandalas have, this also is a pluralistic mandala extolling various devatas. Sixth mandala, most of you are from that Gotra only, I think. Bharadwaja. How many? Okay, fine. Bharadwaja Gotra. The rishis belonging to Bharadwaja's lineage, Bhargaspatya Bharadwaja. Okay. They contributed in this sixth mandala. This has 75 suktas. Okay. And here we have the famous Go Suktam. Then seventh mandala by Vasishta Maharshi and his lineage. It has 104 suktas. Extols various deities like Indra, Agni, and Vishnu. This is a glorious lineage which has Maharshi Parashara. Eighth mandala. Eighth mandala is a very interesting and unique mandala. It's a big mandala too. It has 103 suktas. It's by Kanva Maharshi and his lineage. Eighth mandala. The first mandala and the ninth mandala. Ninth mandala is again a very famous mandala. Generally, Rigvedic students start their education with ninth mandala only, because it has simple mantras. Okay. Generally, the simplest portion, with the simplest portion only, children start their Vedic education. For example, in Krishna Yajurveda, children start their Vedic education with what? Taittiriya Upanishads. Yes. Simple passages, short and sweet passages, Taittiriya Upanishad has, but pregnant with deep meaning. Okay. If you go to the meaning of that, very grand. But Upanishad is very simple. In the same way, here the ninth mandala is a simple mandala. The whole mandala is dedicated to the great god Pavamana Soma. Okay. Pavamana Soma. It's not just a presiding deity of a creeper, it's also a presiding deity of a creeper and its rasa. But when we go deeper into it, we understand that the mandala talks about the rasa that is found in the very life itself, that determines the purpose of life itself. There only we see the mantras like Yatra Anandascha Modascha Mudaf Pramuda Asate Kamasya Yatraptaha Kamaha Tatramam Amrutam Kridhi Indraya Indo Parishravaya or Sothacha Yatra Truttischa Tatramam Amrutam Kridhi. Ninth mandala. Now next comes the 10th mandala. In ninth mandala and first mandala, rishis belonging to various lineages, okay, their contributions are found. The lineages that contributed from the second mandala to eighth mandala, from the same lineages, rishis contribute in first and ninth mandala. But as a combination, they contribute. That's a very interesting thing. 10th mandala appears to be an independent mandala, which is also a very interesting mandala. It has lot of contents. It has the conversation of Pururavas and Urvashi, and it talks about Indra's Duti, messenger, Sarama. It also talks about Vagambrani, Vagambrani's Sukta, okay, her non-dualistic realization, okay. And it also talks about, for several suttas, it talks on Yama, a very important deity. Kumara Yamayana, his suttas are there, which becomes the seed for Kathopanishad later. It has the Antyeshti mantras, which we call as Katu Prasno. Okay. These Antyeshti mantras. And then Purusha Sukta, a very famous Nasadasadiya Sukta. Even now, the modern researchers of the postmodern science, something like quantum physics or wave mechanics, they are still exploring the meaning of this Nasadasadiya Sukta, and still it's not getting exhausted. They are researching regarding Nasadasadiya Sukta. Somehow this Nasadasadiya Sukta has become very famous. But like Nasadasadiya Sukta, there are various other suktas in this 10th mandala. Hiranyagarbha Sukta, then Vishwakarma's Sukta, all these things. Then a very important sukta which talks about the evolution of language. Okay. And finally ending with Prajapati's creation. Surya Chandrama Saudhata Yatha Purvam Akalpayat. And also the conclusion regarding the Rigveda, it is the unity mantra, Sangachadvam Samvadadvam. With that only this great literature, Rigveda, ends. Samaveda has 650 rigs, 650 mantras in Purvarchikam. Purvarchikam is one division of Samaveda, and Uttararchika is another division which has 21 chapters and 1225 mantras. Totally, Uttararchika plus Purvarchika, we have 1875 mantras. With this, we can't determine easily that Samaveda is a small text. If we see the text of Samaveda, it may appear to be very small, but it becomes a magnum opus, it becomes a great literature because of its various layers of music. Various dimensions of every rig is taken and sung in various layers. By that, Samaveda becomes very deeper. Mainly Vasishta, Kashyapa, Vamadeva, Saubhari, Vishwamitra, Shunashepa, Sujana, Rahugana, Bhrigu, Bharadwaja, Asita, Devala, Parashara, Pratardana, Kutsa, Angirasa. These are all the great contributors in Samaveda Samhita, extolling the various deities like Agni, Indra, Pusha, Vishwadevas, Maruts, Soma, Vishnu and Ekadasha Rudras. This is how Samaveda goes. We have seen, we had a glimpse about all these four Vedas. Now let us see something about 6 Angas of the Veda. What are they? Vedangas: Shiksha, Kalpa, Vyakarana, Nirupta, Chandas and Jyotisha. Shiksha is phonetic, not phonetic. This phonetic, phonetics. Every letter has its own origin in our body, defining which letter is from which part of our body and how to pronounce these letters of the Vedas. This is Shiksha. Later Shiksha evolves as Pratishakya. What's the difference between Shiksha and Pratishakya? Shiksha has general rules. There are various granthas for various texts for Shiksha, mainly Naradiya Shiksha and Panini's Shiksha. These are the main texts of Shiksha. Shiksha has general rules regarding the pronunciation of letters. Pratishakya is for Prati Shaka. For every Shaka of the Veda, you take that. For example, take Agni Mile Purohitam. What is A? And how that sound is pronounced, how from which part of our body it comes. What's the preceding deity of this Akara? And then G for that. In this way, the whole Vedic literature will run. And that is this Pratisakya. Such a great contribution our rishis have given. Then comes Shiksha, Kalpa. Kalpa is very important. Ritualistic injunctions. It is a manual, ritual manual. Okay, how to perform the Vedic rituals. For that, manuals are created by the great souls like Apastamba or Bodhayana. Ashwalayana created the ritual manual for Rigveda. For Samaveda, the great rishis like Latyayana and Gobila. Here in Yajurveda, that is Apastamba, Bodhayana and Satyashada. These are the sutras for Krishna Yajurveda. And Katyayana for Shukla Yajurveda. This is how it goes. These rishis, for every branch of the Veda, they have created the ritual manuals. Rituals are divided into two. Shauta rituals and any idea? Smarta rituals. Shauta rituals have a very great yajnas like Vajapeya, Aptoriyama and so on. Smarta rituals include several Grihya karmas. Starting from Grihya karmas, there are various rituals like Garbhadana, Pumsavana, Simantonnayana, Jata karma. These are all the rituals regarding Smarta. Kalpashastra. Of course, in Kalpashastra, how Yagyashala has to be made and how the bricks have to be placed in various shapes. In that context only, for the first time, in the world literature, geometry comes. Various geometrical shapes evolve from Kalpashastra only. Such kind of geometrical shapes can be found in Harappan civilization too. Then comes Veda Vyakarana, Shiksha Kalpa Vyakarana. Vyakarana is mainly grammar. Vedic Sandhi, Samasa, conjuncture of the words, and verb, noun, Subanta and Tinganta Padas. All these things are there in the Vyakarana. We have a very famous text, Ashtadhyayi for Vyakarana by Panini, and its commentary, a matchless magnum opus by Maharshi Patanjali, called Mahabhashya. Several other granthas for this Vyakarana Shastra are available. Sanskritam and the early Sanskritam of Veda, which is called as Chandasam. Vyakarana of this language is matchless in the world. No other language in the world has such a great Vyakarana as this. Before Panini, there were very great Vyakarana Kartas, Vyakarana Rishis. It is told, it is believed, even Panini refers to few of them, Patanjali refers to few of them. Then comes Niruktam. These are all very old. Some of them are even very older than Mahabharata. Okay. Niruktakara was referred in Mahabharata. Yaska Maharshi. Yaska Maharshi gave this Niruktam. What is Niruktam? Any idea?
ये पदाः तस्मिन् आगच्छन्ति तस्य यत् रूट् अस्ति कथम् आगच्छन्ति.
Etymology. In English they call it as etymology. Tracing the root of any word. Not any word, any Vedic word. Indraha. The word Indra can be interpreted in many ways. Idi Parameshwarye. Parameshwarya means supreme mastery. Indra is called as Indra because he is supreme master. Supreme mastery of senses in one context. Shikshanadaha Pradivaha Akamakarshanaha. This is the adjective of Indra, Akamakarshana. Okay. Another way of interpreting Indra. Indum prati dravati iti indraha. This Yaska is giving all these things. Okay, the one who is flowing towards rasa. For that reason also he is called as Indra. Another interpretation of Indra. Idam adarsam iti. Tasmat idandraha. Idandra eva indraha. Indra ityachakshate parokshena. Paroksha priya iva deva. This is Aitreya Brahmana. Okay. Aitreya Brahmana says, Idam adarsam. I saw the truth. So Indra means seer. As Indra found the truth, as we find in Kenopanishad, Indra is the one who found the truth first. Then Vayu and Agni. Tasmadva etan devan atitaram ive. This is what Kenopanishad says. That is why Indra is considered to be the lord of other gods like Agni and Vayu. Indra is the seer, therefore he is called as Indra. This is what Aitreya says. So, one single word has several meanings if you go to the etymology of that word. In this way, the Veda has so many. Vedic language is not at all a human language. It has its own paddhati. I wonder whether probably earlier humans might have spoken in this language. I don't know. Because the language is archetypal. Such an archetypal language, okay, it is beyond the rational, it is the language of intuition, language of insight. Every word has its layers of meaning. If you take Agni, Agni has its layers of meaning. And while we chant the Vedic mantra, we have to feel all those meanings. Then only we start to appreciate the beauty of this text. It's not that in this context, Indra means this, and in another context, Indra means that. It doesn't come like that. In every context, the holistic way, several meanings of these Vedic words have to be felt from our heart to decipher to fathom the fathomless literature of the Veda. So, for which Nirukta can be definitely very much useful. Sayanacharya, very great commentator of the Veda, is very much using Nirukta for his Bhashya. Then comes Chandas. We have various Chandas, means meters of the verses of the Veda. Trishtup, Jagati, Brihati, all these Chandas are found. Even Gayatri is a Chandas. Okay. This rules of these Chandasas can be done. These are found in this Shastra called Chandas. Last but not the least is Jyotisha. Jyotisha is well known for some other reason today, but Vedic Jyotisha, Vedanga Jyotisha is mainly to show you at which time which ritual has to be performed, which Vedic ritual has to be performed. And to determine the time and its elements, Rutus, Masas, Pakshas, for that Jyotisham is very much helpful. And there is something called Vikriti Patha. We all know. This Vikriti Patha includes Jata, Mala, Shikha, Lekha, Dwaja, Danda, Ratha and Ghana. The one who completes up to Ghana is called as Ghanapati. Okay. These are all Vikritis. I am not going into the detail of that. You can refer to the text. Why all these techniques are developed regarding the Veda? Only to avoid the flaw. Veda was zealously and meticulously preserved and is and will be. Okay. These are all redundancy techniques. Where you find tremendous redundancy, you can avoid flaws there. Okay. to avoid the flaws, they very strongly believed and believe, they will believe that even a small mistake in the Veda can bring bad effects. Based on this belief, they meticulously preserved this text without any later addition, later interpolation, without the differences in recensions, Pata Vedas, okay. With Swara, the whole of the Veda is preserved up to our times. This could be possible only because of these techniques like Krama, Jata and Ghana. To preserve these Vedas, to preserve this Vedic literature, the whole human society, whole human race of India worked a lot. For these Gurukulas, which are teaching the Vedas to their pupils, the people belonging to Kshatriya community, Vaishya community and Chaturtha community, they all had donated. Kshatriyas, they donated in a different way. Vaishyas donated in a different way. They understood the significance of the Veda, how Vedic sound can create a positive vibration through which welfare can be bestowed to the human, not only human race, to the nature in general. And that is why they preserved the Veda and Veda preserving community. To grasp the Veda, a unique lifestyle is required. Dedication of the whole life to the Veda is required. For that, a particular kind of people are required. For all those things, several communities had worked. So throughout India, from the length and breadth of India, we see Vedic branches. Rigvedic Shakala Shaka is well known in Maharashtra and Orissa and Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Krishna Yajurveda's Taittiriya Shaka is well known in Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and also Maithila. Okay. Videha Desha. Some parts are in Bihar, some parts in Nepal. Then Maitrayani Shaka of Yajurveda. As we find Taittiriya Shaka, there is Maitrayani Shaka that is found in Maharashtra, especially in Panchavati, Nasik. Shukla Yajurveda, Madhyantina Shaka, is found in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, a very famous Shaka. Shukla Yajurveda's Madhyantina Shaka. And then Kanva Shaka is found. Shukla Yajurveda Kanva Shaka is found in Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Orissa, and so on. Samaveda's Kautuma Shaka is found in Tamil Nadu, mainly in Bengal. Perhaps almost the whole of Bengal is of Samaveda Kautuma Shaka. And Bihar, also in some part of Nepal, right? Okay. Then Jaiminiya Shaka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala. Jaimini Shaka is there in Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Then Ranayaniya Shaka is found in Maharashtra, Karnataka, and in some places of Andhra. Atharvana Veda's Shaunaka Shaka is found in Gujarat, mainly nearby Jamnagar, and Paipalada Shaka is found in Utkala Desha. This is how these shakas can be found throughout India. Still, there are Vaidikas, the Vedic people, who preserve these shakas by learning them. They are very simplistic, gentle, and noble. Such kind of Vaidikas, they are preserving this Vedic literature throughout India. Now the book is talking about Veda Bhashyakaras, those who wrote commentary on the Vedas. It starts at first from Veda Mimamsa, Mimamsa Shastra. Mimamsa itself is an interpretation of the Veda. There are two Mimamsas. One is Purva Mimamsa, another one is Uttara Mimamsa. Purva Mimamsa is Mimamsa, Uttara Mimamsa is Vedanta. Both are the interpretations of the Vedic literature. For Purva Mimamsa, there is Jaiminiya Sutras, Jaiminiya Sutra literature, which clarifies several doubts regarding the Karma Kanda of the Veda. Rituals regarding the Vedas. Jaiminiya Sutra is very big. Thousands of sutras are found in this chain. Probably in the Sutra literature, the biggest Sutra literatures are Paniniya Sutra and Jaiminiya Sutra. The first commentator available for Jaiminiya Sutras is Shabaraswami. Shabaraswami was very much revered among the great acharyas. Even Brahmasutra Bhashyakara Shankaracharya refers him and reveres him by calling him a Swami. Itayeva Akrishya Acharyana Shabaraswamina Pramana Lakshane Varnitam. Some of the portions of Shabaraswami's literature have disappeared. But generally, most of them are available to us, fortunately. Even Kumarila Bhatta says that Shabaraswami's few parts have disappeared. Likito Grantaha Vilina Ityapare. Then comes a very great man who becomes a very good interpreter of this Shabaraswami. Even before 500 BC, this great soul had come. We all know about him, Kumarila Bhatta. On those days, the whole India was filled with the condemnation of the Vedas by several scholars of Jainism and Buddhism. At that time, Kumarila Bhatta came. There is a great text called Jina Vijayam. See, the glory of a person has to be heard from his enemies. This Jina Vijayam glorifies Kumarila Bhatta. Kumarila Bhatta is from Andhra Pradesh. Andhrotkalaanam Sanyoge Pavitre Jayamangale. There was a village called Jayamangala. This man belongs to that Jayamangala. Grame Tasmin Mahanadyam Bhattacharya Kumarakaha. Andhra Jatihi Taitriyaha. He belongs to Krishna Yajurveda Shakha, Taitriya Shakha. His mother is Chandraguna, Mata Chandraguna Sati. His father is Yajneshwara, Yajneshwara Pita Tasya. This is how he is mentioned in Jina Vijaya. Jina Vijaya is further talking about Kumarila Bhatta. Mahavadi Mahaghoraha. Shrutinam cha abhimanavanu jinanam antakas sakshat. Okay. This man Kumarla Bhatta is terrific. Why terrific? While he comes to debate, he won. He conquered all Jainistic philosophies. Okay, therefore he is terrific. Shrutinam cha abhimanavana. He has a very great abhimana towards Shruti. Very deep love towards the Vedas. He wanted to learn Buddhism. Why? Because only by learning Buddhism, one can debate with Buddhism. Why to debate with Buddhism? It's because Buddhism and Jainism on those days were the very great critics of the Veda, and not only critic, found fault. Okay. Talked ill of the Vedas in various ways. I don't want to go into detail of that. Those days have gone now. If we want to understand what fault they are finding and what are the answers to be given for that, we should have a separate session, not now. A very big thing, that is. Due to their mispropaganda, Vedas got diminished in the land of India. At that time, Kumarla Bhatta thought, why can't we go and learn Buddhism first, thoroughly? Then let us have an open debate with them. So he went to a Buddhist institution in Magadha Desha, in Bihar. On those days, Bihar was the home of Buddhism. That is why the state is named as Bihar. Bihar means Buddha Vihara. That's how. Buddhist shrines were called as Viharas. That became Bihar. So he went to Magadha Desha and he got initiation in Buddhism. Okay. He entered into Buddhist Gurukula. He learned the Bauddha Shastras. They found him to be a Vedic man, got initiated into Buddhism. Therefore, they became very angry. They said to him, if your Veda can rescue you, if your Vedas are true, why can't you fall from this mountain? Then Kumarla Bhatta proclaimed, Veda pramanam dharmasya. He proclaimed and fell from the mountain. Nothing happened to him. He came back after learning Buddhism. The king, somewhere in Andhra Pradesh, the king's queen was worrying. Ko Vedan Uddarishyati. Who will again re-establish the Veda in the world? The queen was worrying. At that time he entered into the palace after learning Buddhism. He came back from Magadha Empire, and entering into the palace he said, Ma Rudohi Vararohe Bhattacharyosmi Bhutale. Don't worry, my dear madam. Here I am Kumarla Bhatta, who came to re-establish the Veda and Vedic culture. And he worked a lot to re-establish the Vedic culture. Vedic culture was re-established by this great soul, Kumarla Bhatta. And then Kumarla Bhatta's disciple is Mandala Mishra. Okay. These are all the contributors in the field of Purva Mimamsa. Regarding Mandala Mishra, there is a shloka. Swatah pramanam paratas shrutissa palapradam karma palapradaha ajaha jagadruvam syat kiranganaha yatra giram giranti. Where is Mandala Mishra's house? Then the answer is given. Constantly the sound is heard from that house, from the roof of that house. What the sound? What's the sound? Swatah Pramanam. Are the Vedas Swatah Pramana or Parata Pramana? Is Apurva is Phalaprada or Ishvara is Phalaprada? Phalapradam Karma, Phalapradaha Ajaha. Who is the Phalaprada for karmas? Is this universe, nature, real or unreal, stable or unstable? In this way, some parrots are debating upon the roof of a hut, that is Mandala Mishra's hut. Generally, parrots start to imitate our own conversations. The Sishyas are Mandala Mishra, they are debating inside the house. So parrots listening to them, they also start to talk like that. That is Mandala Mishra's house. Such great souls these are. Okay. Regarding Uttamimamsa, we all know Brahma Sutra was written by Badarayana to determine the meaning of the Jnanakandam of the Vedas. Upanishadaha Purushaha. Okay. Regarding Atmajnanam, he wrote these sutras. Brahma Sutras, the commentary of Brahma Sutra we have now. First Shankaracharya's commentary, then Sri Ramanuja's commentary, then Madhvacharya's commentary. These commentaries have come. With all these kinds of interpretations, the Vedas shine. Now let us come to few other commentators. One of the earliest commentaries of the Vedas is by Bhavaswami, and Bhavaswami's Bhashya of the Veda is not found now. But we understand the existence of Bhavaswami through several other references. The earlier commentators are quoting him. Okay. Next to Bhavaswami came Bhattabhaskara, very great commentator. His commentary is available. His commentary is mainly based on Vyakarana Shastra. Wherever we have Vyakarana confusions, Vyakarana doubts in the Vedas, he clarifies. Bhattabhaskara, and in many places he gives the conceptual meaning of the mantras also. Mantras are pregnant with spiritual interpretations. And then comes, of course, there is another great commentator. He commented some parts of the Vedas, not the whole of Rig Veda, but some parts of Rig Veda. That is the great Madhvacharya. Among the three in our traditions, Madhvacharya is unique in contributing to Rigveda Samhita. Okay. His commentary to Rigveda Samhita is even now available. That is completely filled with spiritual interpretation. This Anandatirtha Swami, Madhvacharya, in his lineage, spiritual lineage, we have Raghavendra Swamigal, Jayatirtha Swamigal. These are all very great commentators for Rigveda. Based on Madhva's commentary, they wrote their commentaries. And then Sayanacharya. Sayanacharya wrote commentary for whole of the Vedic literature, starting from Agnimile Purohitam up to the last mantra of Atharvana Veda, Samhita, Shaka, okay. That is Shaka, that includes Brahmanas and Aranyakas. For every Veda, he takes Samhita and Shaka and commented the whole of the Vedic literature. And such a kind of commentary has to come to the Veda, felt the great king Bukkaraya. Bukkaraya established the Parameshwara Vaidika Marga. This is what Sayanacharya himself says. Okay. Rigveda. Rigvedam bag. daily எடுத்து போவேன். Sayanacharya in his commentary, in every chapter, he is proud to call himself as a sincere citizen of the kingdom of Bukharaya. That is a very great surprise to us, because such a great soul calls himself as the sincere civilian belonging to the empire of Bukharaya, who re-established the Parameshwara Vedika Marga, he calls. Parameshwara Vedika Marga is nothing but Sanatana Dharma. It is Srimad Rajadiraja Parameshwara Vedika Marga Pravartaka Shri Veera Bukka Bhupala Samrajya Durantarena Sayanacharyena Virachite Madhaviye Vedartha Prakashe Rik Samhita Bhashye. That's how it goes. At the end of every Adhyaya of Veda. His adjective is Parameshwara Vedika Marga Pravartaka Shri Veera Bukka Bhupala Samrajya Durantarena, who is committed to the works of the king Veerabhukka, who re-established Parameshwara Vedika Marga. Why re-establishment? Before this Vijayanagara Samrajya, for around 100 years, the whole South India was under the tyranny of the external forces. Okay, some invaders from north, mainly Mallikapur and all, Khiljis. So again the Vedic culture was re-established by Bukharaya. Bukharaya felt that the whole of the Vedic literature should be given a commentary. He requested Sayanacharya. Sayanacharya wrote this whole of commentary, which we have now. Some Westerners wonder how a single person can write commentary for all the Vedas, including their Brahmanas. It may not be possible in 100 years. Therefore, they speculate. Okay, they speculate that Sayana must have, with the help of the government, with the royal patronage, he must have hundreds of scholars with him. He discussed with them and he assigned the works to several people. In this way, these commentaries were written. It's a very peculiar and very strange way of speculation. Generally, Westerners do all these things. I mean, Westerners means Western scholars we see there, so-called Indologists. Okay. But in general, if we go through the text, in text it is written as Sayanacharya's Bhashya, and we have a common and a single and a consistent style in the Bhashya. I don't feel this is by multiple authors, okay, as we have a single style. Then, next commentator for the Vedas is Arya Samaj founder Dayanand, a great soul. While the whole India was controlled by British, while the young minds of India were corrupted by the modern education system of British, while they started to find a fault with the Hindu religion, at that time this Dayanand came. He wrote several portions of Vedas, commentary to the several portions of the Vedas. Mainly in his commentary, what we see is in several places the scientific interpretation of the Vedas. For example, we all know the mantra A Krishnena Rajasa Vartamanaha. Okay. In Yajurveda, in Krishna Yajurveda, it comes as Asatyena Rajasa Vratam. Even though it is Krishna Yajurveda, it says Asatyena Rajasa. Okay. In Shikla Yajurveda, it comes as Krishnena Rajasa. Fine. Krishna is Akarshana Shakti. Okay. Rajas is Shakti, is Akarshana, gravitational force. The Veda here is talking about the gravitational force of the sun. Okay. Sun being in the middle, sun is in the center. Okay. Anda Madhyagata Surya. Sun is in the center and the sun is holding all the planets, stars, the whole galaxy by its gravitational force. Ayangav Prashnirakrami Dasanan Mataram Punaha. This is another famous mantra. He shows how it talks about the earth circumambulating the sun. Okay. In this way, he gives how various scientific insights are found in the Vedic literature. He also shows how, this is this traditional only, this one, how all the epithets of the Vedas are of one Paramatman, Ekam Sadvipara Bahuda Vadanti. After discussing all these things, here this Grantha is talking about some Westerners' interpretation of the Veda, starting from H.H. Wilson, okay, who is next to the founder of Asiatic Society. Founder of Asiatic Society was William Jones, and he translated Manusmriti, William James, okay, because he has to make rules, laws, okay, for India. For that he learned Sanskrit and read Manusmriti. Then soon after him, H.H. Wilson came. He wrote Sanskrit dictionary and he wrote the translation of Meghaduta, Kalidasa's Meghaduta. He published Vishnu Purana and then Sanskrit grammar book. Then above all, a very important thing, Rigveda's English translation. He followed Sayana throughout while translating Rigveda. And the famous Max Muller. His contribution is dealt here. Few other translators of the Veda. All four Vedas were translated into English by R.T.H. Griffith. The same man translated Ramayana also into English. A beautiful translation. All these are poetic translations. Then there is Keith. We have Keith's Yajurveda translation. Then Sudwan's Samaveda translation. Mauric Bloomfield has written a book called Vedic Concordance. Okay. Yeah, taking the words of Vedas and discussing about their etymology in English. Even now the Western translations are continuing. David Frawley, many of us know, is a great man who translated several mantras. Wisdom of Ancient Seers, okay. Book's name is Wisdom of Ancient Seers, Cradle of Civilization, and then few other texts, God, Sages and Kings. These texts are, he has dealt so many topics. This is our contemporary. He has dealt so many topics like Jyotisha, Ayurveda, Tantra. In the context of Vedas, these books are very much important. And his uniqueness in the Western world is he has a spiritual eye to delve the meaning of the Veda. And we have seen now up to this the English contribution to the Vedas, British contribution, American contribution. But more than that, German contribution is very unique for the Vedas. Even Griffith or Max Muller are Germans, but wrote in English. Here in German language, For example, Grassmann, he translated German in German. Grassmann translated Rig Veda into German. Ludwig also translated. There was another great scholar called Roth. Okay, he felt that Sayana came very later to the Vedic age. Therefore, we should develop another way of translating or interpreting the Veda. So he developed a new style of interpreting the Vedas. Then Weber. These are all the German translators of the Vedas. There was a Vedic translator, Shoder. He translated Krishna Yajurveda, Maitrayana Samhita and Kataka Samhita. Then Thomas Benfey, he translated Kautuma Shaka of Samaveda in German language. Whitney translated Shaunaka Shaka of Atharvana Veda. Whitney also wrote a book on Vedic grammar in German language. These are all the Western researchers who dealt with the Vedas. So, Vedic interpretations. This is all about the first book. Vedavigyanam's first book has, we had a glimpse of this book starting from its preface, its Srimukhams. In Vedavigyanam, we have first Veda Parichayam, how the Veda becomes a fountainhead of Sanatana Dharma, how it becomes a Swatah Pramana for all streams of Sanatana Dharma, various names of the Veda, this comes in Veda Parichayam. Then how Veda is free of human authorship, this Apaurushayatva of the Vedas, and how Vedic language is the oldest language, and Veda Parinama, how many Vedas are there, its Shakas, Samhitas, those things are given, and contents of the Vedas, and then 6 Angas of the Vedas, Siksha, Kalpa, Vyakarana and so on, Pratishakya and Vikriti of the Vedas. Then comes Veda Siddhi, how by Vedic chanting we create positive vibrations, bestowing the universal welfare, and how we can get the fulfillment of our desires by the chanting of the Veda. How Madhvacharya brought the cyclone under control through Vayu Suktam. How Raghavendra Swami made even the sandal, Chandanam, to be hot by Agni Suktam. This is Veda Siddhi. And very importantly, Vedic branches, in which areas, which regions, which branch is prevalent now. That concept is dealt. And then the content of Upanishads. Then about Purva Mimamsa's Bhashyakaras, Shavaraswami, Kumarlabhatta, Prabhakara, and then Mandala Mishra. After that, Veda Bhashyakaras, Bhavaswami, Bhattabhaskara, Sayana, Anandatirtha, and some Western commentators too. With this, the first book ends. So we had a very nice opportunity to have a glimpse of this first book of Vedavigyanam. In this way, let us go through several insights of several portions of Vedavigyanam in due course of time. Janaki Kanta Smaranam